All right, welcome all. Welcome to another episode of Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com. I am Mac Engel, Fort Worth Star Telegram columnist. He's Mr. Clarence E. Hill Jr., distinguished alum of the University of Texas. Clarence, we made it. We made it through an entire NFL offseason to finally arrive at our point of destination, which is the start of the regular season. How are you, sir? You look outstanding as always.
I am well. I'm ready for football. Football is here. Let's go.
All right, football is here. I don't know if you know this or not, but the Dallas Cowboys start the regular season on Sunday night, just like they always do, because NBC loves the Dallas Cowboys. They will play on Sunday night against the New York Football Giants in New York. The NFL's regular season begins on Thursday night when the Lions, yes, the Lions, play the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City.
I mean, I don't know why you dissing the Lions. I mean, the Lions are one of the up-and-coming teams of this year, okay?
Are you buying the Lions?
I am buying the Lions.
All right, you're buying that. Dan Campbell love the pride of Glen Rose, Texas. And
I am buying the Lions. You should buy the Lions.
I'm hesitant to buy the Lions because everybody else is buying the Lions.
Oh, so you don't want to just go with the flow because everybody else, so they must be wrong. I got to be.
No, it's not that they must be wrong. It's we talked about it. I think we talked about it here last week. There's always a team. There's teams that you think they're going to be really good. Sometimes they take a dive. Obviously, Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, they're a little insulated because of the quarterbacks that they have. And then the team that, wow, we really like them. They're going to be really good. And it just doesn't pan out, whether it's injuries, somebody doesn't play well. They got Jared Goff. I don't know if the trust factor is Jared Goff, but I wouldn't be surprised to the Lions make the Super Bowl, the playoffs. But all this other love, I'm like, wow, they didn't make the playoffs last year. But anyways, let's talk about the Cowboys on. Kenny, get the graphic up there. I'm totally lost. Where's the graphic? There we go.
You're lost.
Will this be the year the Dallas Cowboys break through? Thanks, Kenny. So, Clarence, will this be the year the Dallas Cowboys break through?
That's the big question. I shudder.
I'm asking. You're the man with the answers.
I shudder to predict something I've never seen before. That's my main issue with the Cowboys.
So you don't believe.
I was going to get there. I'm glad you brought that up because
we're going to do that here in a couple minutes. So go ahead.
I want to get there because is it time to believe in the Cowboys? And if not the Cowboys, the NFC. I mean,
Detroit. You just said Detroit.
I said Detroit is a team that could surprise. Yes, that's what I said. But my point is because Detroit could surprise. If not the Cowboys, then who? If the thing about it is I think the Cowboys team is as talented as any team in the NFC. There's no big bad wolf here. There's no there's no Aaron Rodgers. There's no Tom Brady, the Super Bowl mystique, Tom Brady. Yes, the Eagles are a good team. Yes, their quarterback is good. But the Cowboys have no reason to be afraid of the Eagles. They've owned the Eagles when Dak Prescott has been the starting quarterback. Yes, they've lost to the 49ers in the playoffs, but they were both one-score games. I know we act like they were blown out. They were non-competitive, but they both were one-score games.
Oh, Clarence, they could have won one of those games in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, yes, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the 49ers are the three best teams, but the Cowboys are right there. They have as good a shot as any to win it. And why not? This should be the year for the Cowboys to break through. They have their best team talent-wise, much better team than they had a year ago. The best team on both sides of the ball that they've had. Certainly this defense is the best defense the Cowboys have had since those Super Bowl teams. And everybody's going crazy about Dak Prescott, his interceptions and all that stuff. This team will be led by this defense. The future of this team, the playoff hopes, whether they get to the Super Bowl or not, will be decided by this defense, which could be the best in the league. And you're going to have a guy, Micah Parsons, who most likely will win Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay, so I'm going to go over – I'm going to list every team. Just hear me out for a second.
I'm hearing you out.
Washington, Giants, Dallas, Philly, Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago, Minnesota, Saints, Bucks, Falcons, Panthers, Cardinals, Seahawks, 49ers, Rams. Every team in the NFC I just named, obviously. Name me the one team that you would say, yeah, that's the best team.
Well, I think on paper, it's the Eagles.
Not
paper.
The 49ers.
No, on paper it's the Eagles, But I would say that going into last season, I said the Cowboys were a better team than the Eagles going into the season. They had just won.
Oh, no doubt. They were.
I'm saying that they just won. We didn't know what was going to happen with Jalen Hurts.
No,
how good he was. But going into the season, I would say the Cowboys were the better team. And so the thing about the Eagles is, yes, going to see they should be favored. But what's also true is no team from the NFC East has repeated since 2004. And there have been a lot of teams who won, and we thought, well, they're going to bring everybody back and they'll be the favorite next year. They did not win. They did not repeat. The Cowboys did not repeat, and we thought they were the overwhelming favorite coming to last year because they had swept the division the year before.
Well, the thing that you mentioned it, and the thing I think a Cowboys fan should feel good about is that the best part of this team, like you said, is the defense. And if you look at the 49ers of the last couple of years, the reason why they've been so good is that defense.
Right.
And that defense is scary.
And what I'm sorry for cutting you off. And that's what I'm saying is that when you have a great defense, you can win with Jimmy Garoppolo. You can win with
Brock Purdy. Oh, Clarence
make mistakes and put you in position. But you can win with Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo, who took them to the NFC title games each of the past 2 years.
They had the lead in the fourth quarter against Kansas City in the Super Bowl. And Jimmy Garoppolo was an inch away completing a long touchdown pass that would have but anyways, that is the part of this I feel good about the Cowboys. If they stay healthy, you never know. DeMarcus Lawrence, Leighton Vander Esch, two key guys who've got to stay healthy. That's a long time to stay healthy. 17 weeks is a long time. Those are the concerns I have. But, man, Michael Parsons is a beats. But the first thing starts off on Sunday night against a team that I have no idea what to make of. They're going to play the Giants on Sunday night in New York. You look at Dak Prescott. This whole thing's going to come down to Dak. And, people who cover the team on a daily basis lament the fact that he's getting all this scrutiny. Tony Romo got the same treatment. I remember Keyshawn Johnson talked about there's no more overhyped or scrutinized quarterback in the NFL than Tony Romo. That was back in like 2006 or 7. And the same thing could be said of Dak because he's the quarterback of the Cowboys.
I would say this, and I was here during those years, and I know we were talking.
You've been here every year.
Okay. But what I'm saying is just like the LeBron, it is up a notch. Yes, Tony Romo got scrutiny. The social media.
You think this is more than Tony?
Oh yeah, for sure. It is more than Tony.
Why? He's the same. The only difference
we didn't have First Take. We didn't have Undisputed. We didn't have the daily. I mean, the daily focus on the Cowboys is up a notch, not because of Dak and not because of the media.
There's just more outlets.
Yeah, right. The mediums are different. So the
you're right different. About that.
It is higher. It's like I guess Dak, not Dak, but LeBron's agent was on some show the other day, and it was talking about Rich Paul.
Oh yeah,
he was talking about LeBron is the most scrutinized athlete ever. Good, bad. He is the most scrutinized athlete ever because of the mediums that we talk sports on today. Is much different than the Michael Jordan heyday.
No doubt, and it's made those guys. It's made this current era of elite athlete wealthier.
I understand that. We're just talking about the scrutiny. We're talking about the scrutiny. The question was about the scrutiny. You're taking it somewhere else. And I'm talking about the question about the scrutiny of Dak. And is more than Tony? Yes. In the same way with LeBron, the scrutiny is different. It's more intense.
Well, because of but with that level of scrutiny, it's all a trade.
We're not talking about the trade. We're talking about the scrutiny. You're trying to put a bow on it.
I'm trying to that's part of the whole thing. Like a burrito. Remember, Mitch Krul used to tell us that 58 years ago.
You're trying to dress it up.
I'm not messing it up. It's a trade. If you want it, here it is. But
they didn't ask for it that way. Just like Michael Jordan didn't. But it doesn't matter. In our conversation, it matters.
Don't do it. If you have a problem with it, then don't do it, because there will be a line from here to Pluto for guys willing.
The initial question was, do they get more scrutiny? To say that you have to get more scrutiny, they get more money. Well, they were always getting paid. Okay,
not like this.
Okay, they were getting paid better than guys in years before. It's always been more money.
Right.
Okay.
So it's okay. The scrutiny was more.
It's not okay. It's what we have to live with. It's acceptable. It's not okay. We're all adults here.
But I'm curious.
But they're also human. I mean, you act like just because you get paid, it's okay for them to poke every part of their. That's not okay. It's not acceptable.
Listen,
all parts of scrutiny is not acceptable because you get paid. That's just a wrong attitude.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if there's 50 platforms out there and they are criticizing, dissecting, celebrating, because the celebration works both ends. And we saw that here on Saturday. It works both ways. It's these polar opposites of either over the line criticism or just tone deaf, blind adulation, right? That's just part of it. But to me, I've kind of always said, as long as it's not, and this is subjective, as long as it's not personal, going after a guy's personal life.
But it is personal. But
it's personal because it's personal to that person.
Exactly.
But that's the way it is. I mean, if we're going to accept that, oh, you're amazing, you're incredible, it's amazing, you threw 2 touchdown passes, you're God's greatest gift.
But it does get personal. It does get into family. It does get a lot of things. People cross the line on so many levels.
Oh, and the thing about, we've talked too much about this, but the thing about, the part that bothers me is that I look at LeBron James, or we'll talk about here Deion Sanders or some of these other guys, put in their proper, or even Dak. What did they really do? Hear me out, because you're going to agree with me. Did they do anything criminal?
No.
Are they bad guys? They might have a big mouth. They might run their mouth. They might throw an interception. What did they really do here? Is it really that bad? No. And then I think sometimes it comes down to us as the consumer or the viewer, or whatever. It's on us to just turn it off. All these people are doing jobs. They're just doing their job. I don't know if you saw Stephen A. Smith. He was on Paul George's podcast a couple of weeks ago. And Stephen A., he was educating Paul and some of the other NBA players. Listen, that guy doesn't want to ask that question. He's doing that because it's his job. And you and I understand it because we live it and it's our profession. And I think sometimes as the consumer and the viewer, it's like, oh my God, just turn this. I don't need to be filling my brain with all of this all the time. It's kind of like political news. I turned all of it off a few years ago, and I'm sorry that I did it, but I turned it off because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just too much. Anyways, all right, we talked about this too long. We'll be going back into it here in a few minutes anyway. Okay, Sunday, we do have a fascinating, Candy, I need the image up there, breakdown versus I have no idea what to expect in this game, Clarence. None.
This is not the game. I'm sorry. This is the key factors of the Cowboys.
Key factors.
We're talking about in the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl. Can they get there? Can they break through? These are the key factors.
Okay. There's the guy.
Dak Prescott.
There's the guy. Number
Michael
11.
Parsons. All of that. Those are the key factors. That's what we're talking about.
Give me the one guy, Clarence. Give me the one guy on offense, not named Dak Prescott, who has to hit. Be what he needs to be for the Cowboys to have a great season. Not named Dak. Give me the guy on defense who isn't Micah Parsons. 2 guys that those guys have got to play well and really hit their numbers for the Cowboys to break through.
I would say Tyron Smith, your left tackle, who hasn't played.
Really? Okay, define that because you've got to modify your.
You asked me a name. What I'm saying is, here's a guy. There's a question. There's one question about this team is offensive line depth, and that's the biggest question about this team going to see is offensive line depth. Tyron Smith has not played a full season since 2015. Tyron Smith has not played many more games than me and you the last 3 years. Okay, but now they're counting on Tyron Smith to be your left tackle for the season. And I don't know how much you can trust that he can stay healthy. And if he can't stay healthy, then we're getting into those depth issues because that is a huge question on this football team, offensive line depth. As much as we go crazy about Dak Prescott's play, the offensive line's play was worse than Dak Prescott and played a role in a lot of his issues last year. And if you want Dak to fix some of his issues, want this offense to take the next level, that offensive line has to be intact. It has to hold up. Tyron Smith is a key part of that. He's a key question because he has not been able to stay healthy.
Okay, give me the guy. I'm going to disagree with you on that one. Give me the guy. It's a good answer. It's an original answer. And certainly I want to make one little piece of news here. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones this morning said on the radio show that guard Tyler Smith's hamstring is probably, which is a little iffy. It looks like it's going to be okay. They're doing an MRI on it, but it's a second-year player, and a guy will probably be the left tackle if Tyron Smith can't go. Go to the other side of the ball, Clarence. Give me the defensive guy. You're like, that's the guy who's got to hit for the Cowboys to be good.
That's of course. I would say Damone Clark. He's the question. He's the linebacker playing next to Leighton Vander Esch, who's really underscrewed and playing a lot of minutes, going to be the starter, full-time starter for the first time in his career. Everybody else we know about, and we feel the Cowboys feel good about that. I think the secondary is the best in the league, among the best in the league. The safety tandem, the quarterback duo. They have few peers. Right? Certainly, we know what you have in Michael Parsons. I think you know what you have in certainly DeMarcus Lawrence and Jonathan Hankins and Miley Smith and Osa Odigizua. They have a nice tackle rotation that's improved over last year. The one unknown is Damone Clark.
There's two that I would say. One's Tony Pollard. This is the first chance he's going to have to be a starting running back since he was in high school. Didn't have a chance to do it at Memphis because there were so many guys. Didn't have a chance to do it here with the Cowboys because they moved on because Zeke Elliott was right in the way. So this is his chance, and his chance at big money, potentially another big money contract next season. He's playing under a franchise tag. So I would say Tony Pollard is the guy. Like that guy's got to produce some serious numbers for this offense to be good. But yes, sir.
Okay, now,
yes.
Maybe I just want to Tony Pollard. If Tony Pollard does what he does last year, that's good enough.
Yeah, and I would say that. I mean, but that would be
so he doesn't have to have serious big numbers. I'm just saying that.
Oh no, what I mean is
if he does what he does last year, and I don't think they'll ask him to carry the ball much more than he did last year because that's not the prayer. He's going to be the starter, but they're not going to put 300 carries on him. They're not going to put 300 touches on him.
No, but he's going to get more than he got last year because the other guy's gone.
A few more, but that's why they have the other running backs. They're going to use other guys.
And Deuce Vaughn looks like he's going to be.
And Rico Dowdell as well.
And the other guy, this is a tandem answer on defense. I've talked about these guys before. I would combine Tank Lawrence and Leighton Vander Esch. If those guys do what they did last season, and they do what they do this season, then I think Leighton's contributions to this defense were really undervalued because they were different when he wasn't in there at the end. And he's playing on iffy shoulders, neck, and you hope you hold up. They gave him a 2-year contract, which I was happy for him. And Tank's a pro, and look, he's a beast. And as long as he's healthy, these guys, I think they'll produce what they did last season. If they do that.
The good news is Lawrence is the healthiest he's been in years. He has had no offseason issues, no offseason rehab, nothing to come back from. Lawrence is as healthy as he's been in years. And
this is what I know about everybody over the age of 30 in pro sports. All says the same thing, Clarence.
No.
I never felt better. I never felt younger. It's like I found the fountain of youth.
But I understand what you're saying theoretically, but in the past few years, he's had to deal with things in the offseason because he was over 30. He had rehab and had surgeries and different things. There's been nothing he's had to deal with. So in that vein, that's why he's healthy as he's been, because he's not had to overcome things as he had in the past.
Are you a weatherman now?
Follow me.
Are you
follow what I'm talking about? Just don't just jump in. Just don't jump in. No question. No question.
The first thing that 30-year-old pro athletes, the first people they lie to is themselves. Like, I feel like I did when I was 20. Brother, you ain't 20. Nobody's 20 again, unless you're 20. Okay,
we're talking about circumstances.
Circumstances. You're going to be a weatherman next week, I can tell. Okay, we got to take a break because then we're going to come back and talk about Clarence's favorite subject. First, a word from the good people at Window Nation.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no payments and pay no interest until 2025. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
All right. Thank you very much, Window Nation. Clarence, time to get it on the book. I've got a notebook and a pen, not pencil. Cowboys are 3-point favorites. No, 3.5-point favorites on Sunday night in New York. Who is going to win? And then pick the game against the spread because that's what winners do. Don't just give me the winner because those are for cowards. Pick it against the spread.
I want you to keep a running tally since you got your little notebook, your little trusty notebook. Keep a running tally as we do this throughout the season. Keep a little running tally. Okay?
Go ahead. Cowboys minus 3.5.
Cowboys. A 10-game winning streak against the Giants. Dak Prescott owns the Giants. When has he not beaten the Giants? Come on, stop it. With the win,
Against the
with
spread.
with the
Against the
win,
spread.
with the win, Dak Prescott will tie Hall of Fame quarterback Roger Staubach with the longest win streak against the Giants since 1950. 3 points. That's the push.
1950. That was your second year on the beat, dude.
Yeah. 3 points, that's not a big deal. Cover the spread.
3.5.
Lead pipe, cinch, lock.
Ooh, you got them covering.
Of course, a 3.5. Okay. Yeah, it's not even going to be close.
Not even going to be close. I got the Cowboys winning. I got the Giants covering. Don't ask me why. Bigger game on Saturday before we continue on. Candy, we don't have any image for this one. Not sure you know this, Clarence. Saturday in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the University of Alabama will play your beloved Texas Longhorns in a rematch of last year's game that Texas should have won in Austin. We're not going to talk about that. University of Alabama has a quarterback that looks like he could bench press 50,000 elephants. Have you seen that kid, Clarence?
I know the kid. The kid was a Texas commit under he was a former Texas commit under Tom Herman, and he switched to Alabama because the new Tom Herman hired an offensive coordinator who didn't want a mobile quarterback. He was looking for a drop back quarterback, and so this guy switched to Alabama. But yeah, he's from Houston. He's a kid from Houston, but yeah, he's been there for years. I think he's a senior now. I mean,
he's a senior. No,
yeah, he's been there a long time. But yeah, he is built like a Greek god, and he's big and fast.
Who's going to win? Alabama's a 7-point favorite.
As much as you say that Texas should have won last year, and so there's a lot of confidence in Austin. We could have beat them last year. They had Bryce Young and all this other stuff. I think Alabama should win and probably will win. Texas still has too many questions, especially at quarterback. Quinn Ewers, our favorite guy. Yes. I mean, I think he has all. The thing about it is that he is a more highly rated quarterback than Arch Manning, because everybody Arch Manning come in. Well, if you look at the numbers coming in, both were 5 stars, and Quinn Ewers was a higher rated 5-star quarterback coming out of a higher rated program, playing better competition than Arch Manning and all the other stuff. But I don't know if he has it. I've been watching him for 2 years. I just don't see I don't see it. He has the size, he has the arm. Yep. I just don't know if he has it. And so
he reminds me of
beating Alabama will take a step. I just don't know if he has it.
You know I tell you what, when you go back and watch that Alabama game before he hurt his shoulder, he looked good.
He did, but he hasn't looked like that
really
since.
Good. And you see guys like this in college football sometimes. You remember when Blaine Gabbert was at Missouri? You're like, wow, he's big, tall, strong, good-looking guy. Who was the guy, Clarence? He came in off the bench in the championship game for UT, transferred to SMU.
I can't think of his name. He was a 5-star. Was supposed to have been the guy. Supposed to be the
guy. You see it sometimes. Jeff George.
He was with the Cowboys just a couple.
Yeah,
years
I know
ago.
he played. And God, you and I are getting so old we can't remember that.
Oh my God!
But this is awful. We can't remember his name. But anyways, like Jeff George reminded me of that. A guy who was big, tall, strong, good-looking, could throw a ball. God, 1,000 miles. I know you're looking up that guy's name.
I know, and I can't think of his name.
He was like a Gatorade Player of the Year, and he came in to replace. Terrible. He replaced Colt McCoy, and he almost brought him back.
It's Garrett Gilbert.
Garrett Gilbert.
Yeah, and he was supposed to be. He was a prototypical quarterback with size, arm, everything, and he had threw a couple of touchdown passes replacing Colt McCoy, but he was a turnover freaking machine. So he never. It never hit any. So he goes to SMU and he's okay, and he has a decent quarterback in the career. But
the question I have about Texas is that when Texas was really, really good under Mac Brown, and we forget that sometimes, Texas was really good on the offensive and defensive lines.
Yes,
you see when a college team, it's changing a little bit, but normally the differences, and actually even Shadir Sanders mentioned this, the differences in great college teams is on the offensive and defensive lines. And it's one of the reasons TCU got blown out in the game against Georgia, because that Georgia front seven just absolutely obliterated them. And TCU's offensive line was pretty good, but they didn't have Jalen Carter and some of those other guys on Georgia's defensive line. Is Gil Brandt, the late Gil Brandt said this, When Texas was rolling, they had offensive linemen that were coming in.
They have real offensive line. They have number 5 stars. Their offensive line, they can hold up against Alabama in the trenches.
Then they can win.
They can win.
They can win that game.
Quarterback will it click for the quarterback in this environment? That's the question.
Yep, that is the question. Okay, let's go on.
Texas has the better receiver core in this game.
It
was Xavier Woods. They have the better receiver core in this game.
Xavier Woods.
Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy.
Excuse
me. Xavier Worthy.
Wait a minute. You got all your Xaviers.
Yeah, no. Xavier Woods, former Cowboys safety.
Got him. Nice kid. All right. Let's go on to the next topic. This is the one Claire's been dying to talk about. Don't know if you saw this, but the biggest upset in college football this weekend came from Clarence E. Hill Jr.'s beloved Duke Blue Devils, who upset number 9 Clemson on Monday night. Clarence, do you want to crow about the Blue Devils?
Of course, because I cannot stand that Clemson coach.
I
cannot. If anybody deserved it, it's Dabo.
So obviously before Duke,
Clemsoning is back. Clemsoning is back.
Yeah. So before Duke upset Clemson, the big upset was in Fort Worth.
No, the big upset was in Baylor.
Oh, well, there's another one because that coach did. It's really funny. That coach, the Texas State coach, he did.
That's a great story.
That's a phenomenal story. He did exactly what Deion Sanders did too, in terms of turning over the entire roster. So Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes came to Fort Worth on Saturday morning. It was a hot day. It was a great day. It was a heck of a lot of fun. It was a great atmosphere. And Colorado came away with the big upset. Clarence, after seeing his post-game press conference was classic Deion Sanders, calling people out, just having fun with the whole thing, and just it was highly entertaining. Clarence, the question I have for you is, there's a couple things. We can talk about this for a while.
We can go for an hour on this.
We probably have to do it. I mean, everybody's doing it. I mean, all sports media is having a field day with Colorado and Deion Sanders. It's not so much. There's one part of this that really makes me uncomfortable as a person. Is just the undeniable racial undertones of this whole evolution. And I'm not being sarcastic or anything like that. I really mean it. So explain this, and I mean that. Why do you think this has become it appears to be such a black-white thing when it shouldn't be, but it clearly appears to be just that?
Because racism is alive in America. I mean, I just think that if we're in denial that it is, and it's a big part of sports, it's a big part of America, and right, wrong, and different, and a lot of the disrespect and non-belief, however you want to call it, in Colorado, we're rooted in some of that. I mean,
because he's a black coach,
black college, the whole, someone who referred to Jackson State as a JUCO. Whether it's
was that like on some Utah radio show?
Yes. But the point is, that's what white supremacy. That's what people take for granted things in white America. They don't even pay attention to Jackson State, knowing that that's a historic black college that put out more Hall of Famers than Utah and Homo
Walter Payton, Robert Brazile,
a number of them. But they dismiss their football. They dismiss the talent, and everybody's shocked. Everybody's shocked, and what the crazy part is that my computer is dying and I don't have my charger. I need to go get my charger.
Oh no! Are you serious?
It is dying. But the crazy part is, and I'm going to let you talk. Shedeur Sanders, what he did Saturday, he did every Saturday in Jackson State the past 2 years.
I tell you what,
threw the ball. Let me go get my charger. I didn't. But the way
go
he
get your
threw the
charger.
ball,
Because I'm going to sit here and whine about this for a minute.
Go ahead.
So when Deion Sanders went to Jackson State, he was able to land a couple of top-tier players because he had a great sales pitch and he was preaching something to young kids that they thought if they followed him, they could do at a historically black college, which is not only strengthen the historically black college brand, elevate Jackson State University and all the historically black colleges. And in 2 years, he did that. If you look at the records, now it was 2.5 years, but it was kind of a weird thing. They played sort of a COVID spring season. It was kind of a disaster. So you have to take all those results in that 2020-21 fall spring thing and just throw them in the garbage can. If you look at what Deion did his last 2 seasons there at Jackson State, they were really good. And one of the reasons that they were really good is because he got players, a few specifically, who talent-wise would have played at Florida State, Georgia. The wide receiver defensive back, Travis Hunter, was going to go to Alabama. He could have played anywhere.
Well,
The
no,
thing
he
that
was
bothered
committed to
me
Florida
about
State.
Florida State, yeah, there's a few of them. The receiver Coleman, those guys, talent-wise, coming out of high school, typically didn't go to historically black colleges, but they went because Deion Sanders and his recruiting sales pitch. And the thing, as an observer, that I admired, and I wrote this, and I was never Deion's biggest fan, but what he did there, I really supported, because I thought, and he said it on the I Am Athlete podcast, where he wanted to shift the balance of power. And if anybody could have done it, it was him, and he was doing it. Now, it was going to take a long time because you need a lot of players in football, not just basketball. In basketball, you need a couple. Football, you need a lot of them, and he was doing it. But I went to Jackson State's campus last August of 22, and I saw what he was up against. And, he got a new practice facility built, a new field put down. I mean, he did a lot of good things there. I thought, man, if anybody could do this, if anybody could pull this off, it was him. And it would really make what is a really small school that doesn't have nearly the amount of resources as some of these other schools that he was playing against, and really strengthen that community. And I don't mean just Jackson State. I'm talking about the African-American community. Really could have done it. But to do that, that was going to take a long time. And I don't blame him for taking off and going to Colorado or any P5 job, whether it's TCU, Florida State. I don't blame him. To me, it was just more of an opportunity missed, because you just said it. I think most people who look at HBCUs, they look down on it. Oh, it's a black school. It's not the same. And that's just not true. It's there. That's just, I've been on 5 or 6 different HBCU campuses, and it's just not true. Where it is true is the resources don't compare sometimes. And that's the one thing I think he could have done, but he left. And now he brings some of these guys, Shadir Sanders, terrific quarterback. That guy could have gone anywhere coming out of high school, and he killed TCU. Travis Hunter is a top 5 pick. He can't come out this year, but next year he's a top 5 pick. I don't know about Shadir, where he's going to be an NFL quarterback someplace. And the very best players on Colorado, the very best players.
The running back was the true freshman that committed to Notre Dame.
Killed him, absolutely. And the true freshman, he's going to get more. He's going to get more of those guys. The defense is still bad. I mean, I know they have Travis Hunter.
One thing I saw on the sideline before the game is recruiting weekend for TCU, and most of those recruits were eyeing the Colorado Hub.
But they were.
I'm just telling you, they were watching DC. There was a big recruiting weekend for TCU, but those recruits were watching Colorado warm up.
That was a disaster for TCU. I mean, the other part of this that I thought was a little unfair overall, and not just unfair to TCU, because of the transfer portal now, opening week lines and any gauge of what a team is impossible. Deion brought in 85 new guys. The Texas State coach brought in 60 new guys. Yes. You don't have any idea what these teams are going to look like anymore. And it's the reason why, I look stupid now. Why I thought Texas Tech would be pretty good is because they had so many guys coming back. Well, they go up to Laramie and lay an egg and lose to Wyoming. So that's why I thought gauging the whole.
And you thought TCU would be blowout.
No, I told no, I didn't.
You were going to write this column before the game. They're going to blow out Colorado.
Clarence, I was totally kidding about that, because I knew. I told anybody who asked me, they said, "Hey, what should I say?" Take Colorado in the points. There's no way TCU's blowing them out. And quite frankly, TCU's absolutely not. That defense was awful. And if we forget the fact, Colorado's defense is pretty bad too. Colorado's going to lose some games. I mean, just because that's what happens. But I think anybody who looks at that first game and thinks that Deion won't have success in Colorado is insane. I mean, he's going to be fine. It may not be Alabama. It may not be, whatever. But he's going to do fine there. He's going to get kids there. They clearly look like they know what they're doing. They're going to be fine. And it's going to be a show. I don't know how long it'll last. You never do. But it's going to be a show. And like I did write, it's going to be damn interesting, because people are eating him up. And you nailed it. You sent a tweet out. Hang on a second. You sent it out, a tweet. This is so reminiscent, to me anyways, of the effect that John Thompson had. And I'm dating myself here. I know that John Thompson had at Georgetown when he had those great basketball teams in the 80s. To some extent, the Miami University under Howard Schnellenberger, and Jimmy Johnson, Craig Ellis and UNLV under Jerry Tarkanian.
Right.
That there is a bad boy, brash element to this that, without a doubt, we'd be stupid not to acknowledge the racial undertones. But this is going to be a popular program that isn't going to be for everybody, but they are going to be impossible to ignore. The floor is yours.
I'm with you, and I do want to address the believe thing because I think that the reporters and everybody were flummoxed by the word believe, because our job is not to root, but we most certainly. No, let me finish that.
I was going to ask you what the difference is, but go ahead.
It's a huge difference. Our job is not to root, but we most certainly believe in things. We believe in Bill Belichick. We believed in Tom Brady. We believe in freaking Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes, which is why people predict them to win. I believe in Pat Mahomes. We believe in Alabama and under Nick Saban. We believe in Georgia right now and the way they built their program. And our belief is based on our perceptions of that program, that coach, what they've done. Okay, the same reason there are a lot of people who believed in TCU, even though they had a lot of unknowns from last year, to pick them to win. You look at most predictions, not you. They picked for TCU to win. They predicted TCU to cover. They predicted TCU based on what they had done, but also based on what they thought of Deion, their transfers, all the other stuff. So we believe all the time. We don't root, but we do have belief systems.
But do you think it was fair? Even if you take the Deion part of it out of it.
Life ain't fair.
Wait, hang on. If you take the Deion part of it out of it, is it fair to really question the belief in a team that has been bad for 20 years and brought in 80 new guys?
It's not unfair, but it's not wrong for him to take it personally, and as they should. Let me finish.
You're right. Go ahead.
We celebrate Michael Jordan, but he was a petty person who
totally
harbored these little slights.
Yes,
he
totally
so much to the point that in his Hall of Fame, after he won 6 titles, he brought a kid from high school. They cut him for this high school kid and embarrassed him in his Hall of Fame. We did not write that he tarnished the Hall of Fame by embarrassing this guy. Okay, because that was what fueled him, to be great. And when you talk about people being great, whatever they need to fuel them, it's okay. And we as the media should not be so small to take it personally. It's okay.
No, I disagree with that. I think one of the no, hang on. I'm agreeing with you, but I disagree with one part of it. I think that the part of it that drives me crazy is that if I'm going to sit here as a member of the media and say, Clarence, you smell, or whatever, or Deion sucks, or Jerry Jones, then I have to be able to sit there and take it when it comes back at me.
Of course.
Right? And I don't think there are enough people in my profession, a profession that I love, that I've made it my life, who follow that, which is if you're going to spit all of this stuff, and it's done in marketing and sales and all that. The problem we've got to be able to sit there and deal with it.
The problem with the mediums, though, is that there are a lot of people who say that who don't have to show up, but they have platforms.
Totally agree. And I got to tell you,
they say that if they don't have to show up.
No,
and so that's what we're talking about. Different mediums, they don't have to show up. And so, but you hear all that and you read all that. Tom Luganville, longtime scout. This Colorado has the worst talent, worst roster in the history of college football. But he said it.
I know.
I know.
How would anybody, that's why
I know how would anybody know. But my point is, when you're that person being targeted and said about, you're going to take it personally. You're going to remember that.
You hit the nail on that.
And you can do that.
Well,
it's okay.
I mean, talk about Michael Jordan. You're right. Michael Jordan was famous for it, and he got a little bit of criticism for it. It cost him his friendship with Charles Barkley.
It's okay. We still love. We still buy his shoes. No, I agree, but just, you keep going back and forth. It's like we were talking earlier about. It's okay to screw them. You get paid, okay? So it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off. It's part, yes, but what I'm not saying it's okay for him and Charles, but ultimately Michael's okay with it, and the world is essentially okay with it because no one's holding it against Michael Jordan that he embarrassed this guy, that cost him his friendship. We're still buying his shoes. We're still celebrating it. We're not holding anything about. What I'm saying?
No, because we know. What's wrong now?
Nothing. I get animated.
I know.
I'm the weather guy. I get animated. Okay.
This front coming in from the north. Yeah. I think about Deion. is that he's a total lightning rod. And I don't know.
It's always been. It's always been.
And that's part of his charm. And what you would want, and the thing that I was concerned about when he left Jackson State, is that what you'd want to see is
what you would want to see.
What I would want to see, yeah.
Okay,
Me, as a human being, I'm a junkie.
As a human being, Mac Engel, because you're grouping everybody. What they would want to see.
What you would want to see. What do we aspire? I would hope, as a human being, we aspire for some semblance of fairness, right?
Okay,
we should. And I think the thing what we've consistently seen when it just comes to college sports, college football,
fairness
NFL
in college football.
Pardon?
Fairness.
No. Hear me out. This is what you aspire to see: is some semblance of fairness, which is, and we have seen it 1,000 times, which is competent, qualified Black assistant coaches who don't get acknowledged, who don't even get a shot because they're Black. That's wrong. That's not Christian. That's not decent. It's not American. It's none of it. And that's the part that I always thought: if Colorado and Deion having success opens the door, then that changes the establishment. Then that is mission accomplished. If it doesn't,
that's the good news of him going to Colorado over Jackson State, because he will be able to open more doors there.
Well, we need to see that happen. And until it happens, then I'm always going to be, because Colorado, it's not like Colorado had a bad track record of hiring Black coaches.
No, they didn't win.
They didn't win. Yeah. And again, we said it last week, Mel Tucker probably would have been fine, but Mel left. But the other guys I heard, it didn't work out. And other universities have tried. And what the problem is that we haven't seen enough of those guys get a chance. I mean, a real chance. And I don't know, until it happens, you have to be skeptical. Deion is his own deal. His personality is unlike few others in sports. And if him having success at Colorado by way of Jackson State creates other opportunities for guys to get a shot, great. Then it changed the establishment. To me, until that happens, he joined the establishment.
Well, the problem with changing the establishment is just like football coaches in the pros. And, Tony Dungy had success, but it didn't open doors for more Black coaches because the owners and who the owners are still going to make the decision to hire the people they want and the people that like it. And that's even bigger in college football, because we're talking about majority white institutions who are going to and the boosters who are going to generally do the same thing.
Yep. But the one thing we saw is that if they think, I mean, I'd tell you the other thing.
You got to get a Colorado AD credit, because he thought outside the box. Yes,
all of them. Everybody. That wasn't just an AD decision. That's a president. That's board of regents. That's significant boosters who thought, we got to do this. And I'd say this, and it's one game. I had no clue how it was going to go.
Yeah, it's one game, but they're on TV. They're on TV next week. They're going to be on TV against USC. It's the money they've already. They've already made up. They've won their investment.
Well, I mean, if they can go 6-5, because like we talked about, that defense is not very good. They're going to give up some points.
But that offense is going to keep them in games. And my issue is, if they stay healthy, they really could start 3-0, because they got
they could, because Nebraska can't score,
and they got Colorado State, and then they got Oregon and Utah, and those games will be. You were talking about, that's the thing about it is that they probably will lose those games, but the attention, everything they're going to get, it's going to be.
And I'll tell you what. And we didn't talk. We talked more about Deion and primetime and all that other stuff. I can't. TCU looked terrible, and Sonny Dykes owned it. He basically said we came out and acted like we were above this team. That defense has given up 1,500 yards in the last 3 games and about 50 points a game. And I know, if Gary Patterson had been here, would they have done that? Gary Patterson's defense was pretty bad the last couple of years. They have no players on the front 7. They need players on the front 7. And even the backup, poor Josh Newton got destroyed by Travis Hunter and all those kids. But Clarence, that offense rolled up over 500 yards. The running game had 262 yards.
And they didn't run it enough.
They lost.
And they didn't run it enough.
And they didn't run it enough. Totally agree. I totally agree. Okay. Our fearless producer, who is a proud Nebraska fan, saying, "Go Big Red," Kenny wants us to go on to the other story. Sound the alarm. The Rangers are collapsing. The Texas Rangers on June 23rd, Clarence, were 6.5 games in front in first place in the American League West It's September 5th, and now the Rangers are one game back of first place and only a half game up in the third wild card spot. We are looking at a historic start, sir, and now a historic finish. If the Rangers finish over 500, which they should, they will. If they finish over 500, because they only won 68 games last year, they haven't had a winning season since 2016. If they finish over 500 and don't make the playoffs, is the season a success?
No.
Thank
Hell
God.
no. Not after. You can't tease me. You can't be in first place all year, make me think it's a successful season, and then crater at the end and then, hey, we're over 500, we're better than. No.
Clarence, listen to me. They were never that good. They were never that good, and they're not this bad. What's happening to them?
If they lose, if they don't make the playoffs,
they've got 4 games coming up with Toronto. They've got 7 left with Seattle, who's in first place now and the best team in the West. They've got 2 more with Houston today and tomorrow. They've got 4 at Toronto. They've got 3 with Boston. Now they've got the A's coming. If they don't sweep the A's, shut it down. Time to build a new ballpark. Clarence, there's a very real chance their bullpen's terrible. I don't know what you're doing tomorrow night, but if you can throw in relief, call them. You had a knee surgery, right?
Yeah, I had knee surgery, not shoulder surgery.
Not shoulder. She can pitch. Okay, we got a prediction right now. Clarence has the Cowboys winning and covering in New York. I had the Cowboys winning but not covering, and I had the Rangers. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Do you?
I'm going to say go Rangers. I believe in the Rangers.
All right. Enjoy your time in Tuscaloosa to watch your beloved Longhorns lose to mighty Alabama. TCU versus Nicholls State. Plenty of good seats available for that one. Colorado versus Nebraska on Saturday. Texas, Alabama. For all of your Cowboys coverage needs and everything else, Texas sports, be sure to check us out on StarTelegram.com. We've talked forever. Thank you, Winter Nation. Thank you, Clarence. Travel safe. Talk to you next week.
All right.